state. So I like quiet.
Well, when is your most creative time? For example, is it early morning, late evening? Elizabeth Berg writes the first thing in the morning as she wants to be close to the dream state that she woke up in. And so for you, what is your most creative time?
Personally, I don't have a time slot. Whenever it happens, it happens. I am a morning person. My brain seems to, when I get some sleep, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I produce whatever I'm going to do. But one thing I've learned is when you find that you get into, because it takes time for me to get into the zone, as they put it. Once you find that you are able to get into a zone, then you take advantage of it and you start trying to write whatever you can creatively, so that you can, by the time you drain yourself, then you're better fit. You got to wait for the next go round. But my best time is in the morning.
I think it alternates for me, having 2 children in the family. I don't always have the ability when that creativity comes to be able to jump on it. Sometimes I have to kind of put it aside. And so there's always this danger you're going to lose that kernel. So I try to jot down at least a bit of it so that I can capture it for later. Sometimes, to Elizabeth Berg's point, sometimes that point, right when you're falling asleep, right when you're waking up, your mind is actually thinking through an answer to a problem that's been kicking around in your brain. And sometimes in the morning you get back to that, like, that's the answer. But that's what that person says in that scene, or for me, maybe that's, oh, that's how I address that issue right now. So I think you have to be open to it. And it is somewhat hard to recapture. I'd say that really true inspiration in that moment where your mind's made that connection is something you kind of paddle in your hand like it's a little bird, and keep that, because if you drop it, you can break the egg or the bird, and then it's gone. So
I got the same time, right when you fall asleep, actually, the first few minutes when I fall asleep. And other than that, whenever, anything, when you see something, that's it.
With me, it's just like, with me, it could be any time. I mean, I'm a night person, and that's when there's less distraction, so that's a great time for me to get flowing. I do, I spend a lot of time kind of visualizing and planning my next project, and I think that, you need to find the time to get in the zone. You need to learn how to I've learned how to get myself in the zone. And I've learned that when I am in the zone, it's like a sacred time. And so I'm like, when I finally get to the place where I'm starting to flow, I don't go like, oh, I need my favorite pen and I have to go to the other room and get it. No, you stay in the zone, and just, it doesn't matter what you have to do to keep it flowing. But during that sacred time, when you've got to the place where it's flowing and you're connected, that's when you need to, get the ideas down and plan your next step. And then I do the early morning thing when I first wake up. I spend a lot of time then kind of visualizing what I want to do and seeing, how I want it to be in the end, how I want the project to turn out, how I want it to affect people's lives, or how I want, the work I'm creating to be valuable and be something that someone cherishes, the portraits of their children or whatever. But whatever it is I'm doing. But I think it's important to learn how to get in the zone, and when you're in the zone, that you need to cherish that and realize that is a gift. That moment, or that a few minutes, just really embrace it and realize that it's special.
I'm really an early morning person, so I like to get everything done as quickly as possible in the morning. And I'm looking at my husband to see if he's dying. That was just said for him. I stay in bed till noon every day. I'm a definite night owl. So I can go till 2 o'clock in the morning and be very happy and very productive. And all my friends who are up at 5, they say, you have so much time then, but you have a lot of time and quiet and peace at 2 o'clock in the morning. It feels lovely. So I just thought I'd see if he fell over and died. Okay.
Well, obviously for me, I need people to create for me, so I'm usually working when my people can be there, which is, you know, the afternoon, the early evening. And it's interesting to me, I have colleagues who choreograph entire dances and pieces prior to coming to the class. I simply have never been able to work like that. I mean, I will listen to a piece of music and I'll have an idea of what I want to set and movement that I see and how I think it's going to go. But until you work then with those people, I think it's impossible for me. I need them. I need to set it on them and see, are they feeling what I'm feeling? Are they bringing, and I know it's another question a little later on, it absolutely, sometimes even my youngest of students will do something naturally. And I'll say, well, does that feel better to do it that way? And they're like, yes. And so then we work off of that. It's so not a sole project with me, because as much as I think, oh, this is going to look great, if the person on the other end isn't receiving that same energy, it's not coming out with what you want. And so for me, the time of day isn't so much, but there are times that I've gone in to teach a piece or teach some choreography and we just stop. Like we just get to a point of, you know what, this isn't going to work today. We're not there. And there are other days you can go in and set, you know, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of work, and there's just this, nobody wants to go home, and you're in, like times that you're kind of in your zone. And for me, it's really a zone because everyone's getting it, everyone's moving together. You could just literally feel the energy. So for me, it's more in that. The zone would be when that energy is coming between the choreographer and the dancers. And then it's an amazing thing.
Could I ask you this? I'm very curious about this new style of dancing, acrobats and jump off buildings and stuff. Is that part of dancing? Is that a form that you guys see as technology?
Here's what this is where, and that's a very good question, because I struggle with in the genre of what is dancing. There's 1,000 dance shows, there's Dancing with the Stars, and so you're thinking there's all this dancing. For me, dancing has to have terminology. I'm very old school about that with my students. I would really love if hip-hop had terminology. If you could tell me, this is the name of these steps, and this is how we do it. Otherwise, it falls under sort of a fad category for me. So I don't consider it dance unless it has some sort of history and some sort of terminology and something that we can. Now that doesn't mean it's not valuable. It doesn't mean it doesn't feed in and that it comes from its own culture. Don't get me wrong. We teach all those things, but I think we have to be careful how we wrap it up as an art form. I also struggle with, in my line of work, there's a lot of competitions. Yeah, and I struggle because I think, well, how are you competing art? There's no set thing that says it's not compulsory like ice skating, it has to include these things, and it's just so hard for me to do that. We tend to call it a performance. We call these are opportunities to perform, and if 3 people on a panel want to give it a gold ribbon, great. If they don't, that's great too. But yeah, it's a very hard, but like all art, if we've touched anyone and someone has appreciated to me, then it has value. That's how I, so.
Do you need to be alone to be creative? Have you ever collaborated on a piece?
I've collaborated with on several projects. When I talk about my work, there's 2 different bodies of work that I have. I guess the portrait work that I create for my clients, and then the work that I do with books and other types of mediums for nonprofit organizations and that. So I've worked a lot alone. And a lot of my work that I've done with others has really been really incredible. The synergy and the energy. Like when I started my book, I decided in '99 that I wanted to do a book on autism, or I decided I wanted to do a book with a group of people with a common issue. And I had no clue what the topic would be. All I knew was that I was passionate about using my work to somehow make a positive impact. And that's all I really knew. And magically, everything that I needed showed up, including Sharon Rosenblum with the message on autism. And the energy that I started, I planted a seed all alone. and then it attracted Sharon, and then it attracted several other, everything else and everything we needed to do a book on autism showed up, including McGraw-Hill. And during the process of planning this book and working on this book project, this one gentleman whose children were in the book. We photographed him for the book, and we were working on the book. And he kept quizzing, he kept asking me questions, and he kept calling me up all the time. And, I didn't know what he did, but I knew he was interested in the project, and I didn't know he could bring any kind of value into the project, but he was really checking me out for about 6 months. And then one day he called me up and said, meet me for lunch in Oak Brook. And I'm busy. I'm like, okay, this guy wants me to, meet him in Oak Brook. I have no clue. But I said, all right, maybe he's trying to add some value to this project in some way. Well, here I'm sitting having lunch with him, and he tells me, by the way, I'm the vice president of McGraw-Hill, and we're going to publish this book. and everything that we needed along the way, showed up. And I think what it is, it's kind of like Napoleon Hill's mastermind group. When you're working with groups of people, if you have like minds, and you have good intentions, and you have a lot of energy and a lot of passion, you can build and build and build on that energy, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and it's just so magical. It was, just the fact that me, I planted a seed, and the fact that, all the things that have happened from that seed initially, and the reason I'm going into this, pushing this, is so that you understand that it doesn't matter who you are or your abilities or anything. If you have good intentions, you can make something incredible happen with your life. It's really passion is energy, and there was a lot of passion that went into it. I mean, that project, those images have been used literally around the world. The images that I created for that book were in every Toys R Us store twice, and then plus 2 other years we raised money for Autism Speaks. $6.5 million was raised from images that I created from autism. And I mean, I could just continue all the things, those images were on CNN a couple of years in a row on Autism Awareness Month. And I mean, there's just so many things. Like today I got a textbook and shipped to me like a minute before I walked out the door. They did a cover of a college textbook, and they used my images. I mean, it's just like there's countless places those images have been used, and it's all because of one little seed. So I think, don't ever get discouraged, and believe in yourself, and believe in your cause, and just go out there and make it happen. Just, you gotta just stay. I was like a horse with blinders. In fact, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with a book. I had no idea how to do a book. I'd never done a book, but it took me 3 years, an incubation period, where I believed in it, and every morning I'd wake up, and I'd be like, I'm doing a book, and I would spoke it into existence. And anybody can do that. It's not, I mean, and Lisa Stamos sitting over there, look what Lisa has accomplished with Quintessential Barrington. She knows the mastermind group concept. She does, she gets it. And I mean, it can be done. And I think, one thing is don't ever let other people that aren't doing anything with their life discourage you. Just keep on going, keep on believing, be a horse with blinders, and just focus on your goal, and just get passionate about it, because passion is fuel, and it'll get you there.
Well, I mean, Tom and I have worked collaboratively on some of the dancers, and that's the most fun. I mean, well, and Tom and I go way back. I mean, I have a colored portraits by Tom's picture. yeah, and I have hair like this big. But what I think, and what Tom, I think this book is an amazing thing. And I think if you're newer to this sort of artistry thing, you don't have to go with a book first. And for us, Tom's part of our family. I mean, if you come to my house, it's sort of a Portraits by Tom's gallery of my children and their life and our life. I mean, the picture he took was of like me and my puppy. I was in my 20s. I mean, before kids, before husbands, before all of that, and it was great. And like for me, that's how it comes in. And then all of a sudden he has this book, and then I want a part of that. And I was just telling Tom, at our studio, we started a class called Shining Star, specifically for Down syndrome children. And I have to say, I mean, a huge part of that idea came from, okay, well, Tom's this artist who did portraits and now has branched out to change the world. I was feeling